What you're seeing is footage of the game in action. While stage layouts have been kept the same, the visuals have received a major upgrade.
I'm sorry. Star Fox again? Are we serious? I mean, come on. Star Fox 64 for what, like the 19th time? You have got to be kidding me. There is no way that this game is going to be... Yeah, all right, never mind. Screw me, I'm an idiot. Yes, I was wrong. I wanted this game so badly. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I will take another. Thank you. It's everything I wanted and more so. Clearly, I didn't know anything. 192 challenges, 61 battle backgrounds, 79 battle emblems, and 74 holo viewer logs. That's all in addition to the original game's 16 stages with challenge medals for both normal and expert difficulties. You can see just how different Star Fox 2026 is. Yes, it is Star Fox 64 at its very core, but Star Fox 64 was always built with completion in mind, and that goes even further when we're talking about Star Fox 2026. There's just so much here. Maybe too much? I don't know. Let's just barrel roll with it. I'm Gerard the Completionist, and I'm going to complete Star Fox 64 again for like the fourth time. The sixth, whatever. Star Fox for Switch 2. Let's go.
Yes! Crash into the show. We won't accept impossible. Full stop, full go. It's time we let the people turn it up. You can hear the future. You can try, but you will never see us fall.
2026 has really been a throwback in more than a couple of ways. The new Nintendo consoles and iteration on the previous portable, and Nintendo's biggest games of the year are remakes of Star Fox 64 and Ocarina of Time. Welcome back to 2011, folks. In all seriousness, yeah, I had pretty much the same reaction as everyone else when I saw that surprise Star Fox announcement, only to realize that, yes, it was another remake. Now, I wouldn't say that I am a hardcore Star Fox fan, but I would say that I am a hardcore Star Fox fan because I've completed Star Fox 64 more than dozens of times than I can count, and you can bet your ass that I will still die on the hill that Star Fox Zero is still a great game. Still, I can't say I was completely sold on this new idea of a remake, especially with how strange all the characters looked at first. It's a huge departure in artistic direction that's just bound to catch you off guard if you're used to the usual cartoon style the series is known for. That surprise announcement left me with lots of questions too. Just how different would these fancy cutscenes be? And how would they impact the story? The new visuals are very nice and the multiplayer looked pretty intriguing, but would all of this be enough to justify returning to the Lylat Wars for a fourth time?
Good luck.
Well, after recently completing the whole game, I'm happy to say the answer is overwhelmingly yes. Well, until you go for full completion. That's a little more complicated here. There's a ton of extra content here on top of the original experience, but even just the base story mode, Star Fox 2026 is still as clean and digestible as ever. If you want to know my thoughts on the original 64 version, you can check out the New Game Plus episode I did a few years ago. But in short, yeah, Star Fox 64 is still one of my favorite games of all time. It's your tried and true on-rails 3D shoot-'em-up gameplay crossed with the occasional 3D dogfight straight out of Top Gun or Star Wars. I was prepared to devour this remake in a matter of hours. But when I completed my first run, I came to realize just how truly extensive the extra content was. Let's start with the campaign, specifically the medals. Every stage has a hit score, and achieving the high score for that stage will award you a medal as long as your crew is alive with you. Upon getting every medal, though, you'll unlock expert mode, with every stage now getting a second medal for expert mode to go along with the harder difficulty. You take far more damage, there's extra enemies with bullets flying everywhere, dogfights truly get insane, and you can easily break your wing in a matter of seconds. Otherwise, it's your standard hard mode, and this expert mode was in the original as well, meaning there wasn't really a lot of surprises for me personally yet. I got every medal in normal mode in just 3 runs, and that's minimum for the hard, medium, and easy routes. But what I really love is that at any point, you can press a button to see the requirements for the medals on both normal and expert settings, in addition to always seeing an icon for every alternate exit you've taken for each stage. Now, this was really nice since the score requirements for medals have changed in a lot of places. It mostly feels the same, but Star Fox 2026 actually has even smoother gameplay than the original in a lot of ways, allowing for some mind-bending optimization that makes that score counter go bigger than I've ever seen. I mean, unless you're a Star Fox speedrunner, because those people are nuts and they can just do anything without hesitation. Those guys are great. With that being said, you probably are going to play through the story of Star Fox 64 far more than you ever would in the original. And it does put a lot of strain on the story to a degree. One of the biggest immediate differences are the cutscenes between stages, giving you a lot more context and banter with the Star Fox crew, along with a more fully realized explanation of why Star Fox and his friends are even doing some of these missions in the first place. These even help to extenuate some of the standout moments from the original, like when Slippy gets his ass bopped by the boss in Sector X, and you have to go rescue him from Titania. With every other stage, you'll pretty much always get a choice of where to go next, and the reasoning for why Fox might want to take one path over the other. Star Fox always has the final call with his team, and it's a nice touch to help show his authority within Star Fox as an organization. And that was really just a suggestion in the original. This is heightened when you finish Sector X and you start hearing the normal back and forth between Fox, Falco, Peppy, and General Pepper. Falco thinks Slippy will be fine, and General Pepper tries to strong-arm Fox into just moving on. But unlike every other mission where your next move is up to you, Fox gets up, tells the General off, and takes his team to Titania immediately. And honestly, that's kind of badass. And on that note, yeah, the voice acting has totally been overhauled here, and given how beloved the original Star Fox 64 voice acting had, it definitely invites some discussion here. On one hand, this game's going for a completely different tone from the original. Gone is the campy, puppet-referenced packed dialogue, and in its place is a script written with far more intent and tonal consistency. The whole story feels pretty cohesive now, and the Holo Viewer gives super detailed backstories for just about every person and ship in the game. Seeing more of the team talk with each other was cool, but some weird stuff still slips through. Like in Ficino, where you see Fox jump out of his ship to suddenly defuse the bomb. Not to nitpick this too much, but when did Fox learn to suddenly defuse bombs in Aerial Academy? Overall though, the new context is really just flavor text and basically never has any impact on the main story. Despite that, they still managed to make it feel like it was always there. And when you compare it with what wasn't in the original 64 version, it becomes a lot more interesting. Now, I'm definitely not saying that the original 64's voice acting is bad in hindsight. That would be ridiculous. I can recite every line of that game by heart. And I'm still going to be saying, "Cocky little freak," to the nurse feeding me pudding when I'm ancient and stuck in the nursing home. It's beloved because it rules. Nobody's taking anything too seriously. The one-liners are hilarious, and it gives 64 the vibes of every great 80s action movie.
Step on the gas. Can't let you do that, Star Fox. What the heck? Daddy screamed real good before he died. I got a present for ya.
Man, what's wrong with my copy of Star Fox?
Everyone is completely committed to the campiness, and that's why, even so many years later, the dialogue in 64 still lands so well. Now, with that being said, with the benefit of hindsight, for a team deciding to remake Star Fox 64 in 2026, it's actually kind of easy to see why the campy 80s dialogue was replaced with a more gritty, more serious tone. It's also worth mentioning that Star Fox 64 repeated a lot of dialogue pretty often, and that was just down to hardware constraints. Remember, Star Fox 64 is a game straight from the year 1997. Early N64 cartridges just didn't have enough space for a full game's worth of dialogue, even if it was heavily compressed. Sometimes, some lines were intentionally written to be vague so that they could be reused in ways that didn't always fully match what was happening on screen. Slippy can yell, "Oh no!" or Falco can say, "Fox, look behind you!" And it doesn't really need to be about anything specific. The game's tone was really light, so this never really impacted the story itself. But this didn't do a lot to help with the lore problem that 64 had created. See, every subsequent sequel to 64 has had its own spin on what became of Star Fox and friends after defeating Andross. And even after Star Fox Zero added a lot of extra details to help give the story a little more meat to its bones. They almost always come up short though, and that's where the fans came in. Like, in the unbelievable Fox in Space, which I actually think was a huge influence for this new take on Star Fox. When you compare this new remake to anything else, you'll probably find it's more similar to the gritty fan series than almost anything Nintendo has done with Star Fox in the past, and that's probably for the best. The reality with Star Fox is that it was always just a parody of Star Wars, Independence Day, and Top Gun. Fox McCloud, Luke Skywalker, Dead Dad, Trust Your Instincts. This is more obvious with stuff like Katina being a perfect recreation of the UFO climax from Independence Day. But Andros literally sounds like Darth Vader with lines that are ripped right out of Empire.
You know that I control the galaxy. It's foolish to come against me.
As Fox flies through what looks suspiciously like the inner caverns of the Death Star. Of course, these are all influences and speculation aside. This isn't to say that any of this is bad. Like I said, I wouldn't change a thing about Star Fox 64's voice acting. But again, if you are the team that is tasked with making a modern remake, you can't just reuse the old lines again, especially since some of the original cast like Rick May have passed away. Not to mention that the 3DS remaster already did this sort of thing a few years ago. And by a few years ago, I mean a decade ago. My point is, Valon Studios, the team tasked with making this remake, took a massive swing with the story by fully committing to a new, grittier take on Star Fox. And that's actually all tied into completion. As you complete the challenges and collect all of the medals, you'll constantly be rewarded with new bits of lore in the Holoviewer that kind of cast the story in a new light. What does it take to get there? Well, like I mentioned, normal mode was a complete breeze for me since this game is one of my games. You know when you were a kid and you just had a few games that were yours and you knew just about everything about them because you just dumped all of your free time into it? Yeah, that's Star Fox 64 for me. I got all the normal medals within 3 playthroughs within an hour or 2 at most. I moved on to expert mode soon after. And the thing I took away right away was that there were a number of small tweaks to the controls and mechanics that make high scoring and impressive combos far more doable this time around. Bombs have a much larger reach in my opinion, you can charge shots without locking on, and the controls in general are just tighter all around. And yes, the better resolution helps a ton too, since you'll much more easily be able to chase down targets in all range mode. And by the way, in case you haven't noticed, this game is flippin' gorgeous. All of it culminates into the very best playing Star Fox game in the series to date, in my opinion. For me, it's kind of amazing to see a high score focused game like Star Fox doing so well with the hardcore gaming space online. You've got to know the stages extremely well to rack up the truly insane scores, especially since utilizing the combos from bombs and charge shots are very important. For my playthroughs though, this all came to me like riding an old bike, and I crushed expert mode pretty handedly. To be clear, I don't want to give the impression that expert mode is going to be super easy for everyone. I personally just never thought that Star Fox 64 was too difficult to begin with, and this expert mode was clearly made with people like me in mind. With that being said, if you aren't super familiar with these kinds of games, you might struggle a bit, and that's totally fine. There's a new casual mode that adds aim assist, mouse controls for more precise shooting, co-op where a friend shoots while you steer, and the continue system is extremely generous compared to the original game. Personally, I felt like the upgraded controls and more generous hitboxes on bombs make this even easier than the original. All that in mind, there's loads of opportunities to improve your skills if you just can't wrap your head around it. Plus, the true struggle in this remake is yet to come.
Good luck.
It's everyone's favorite thing to do, multiplayer achievements. It just wouldn't be a modern remake without them, right? Gone is the split screen deathmatch from the original game, and in its place are 3 new game modes ranging from capture the flag, hold the point, and an item king of the hill sort of collection challenge. It's Star Fox versus Star Wolf, with each team getting little groups of smaller ships that fly around the map just like in the all range mode areas in single player. In Corneria, the game mode is zone control, just like Overwatch or Battlefield. Hold the point with more of your team in the area for longer than the other team, and you'll get the points. Sector Y sees both teams fighting to take out 3 monkey robots carrying a payload, and bringing that payload back to their respective goals. Half Rocket League have captured the flag, all chaos. Finally, there's Ficina, where everyone competes to get the most shards from falling meteors. The meteors can easily kill you as they fall though, so it quickly devolves into both teams circling the impact site, trying to make these long surface runs while not getting shot down. Now, as soon as I started playing, I was immediately struck by how unique each game mode felt. Each of these objectives force both teams to close in on each other, meaning all kinds of dogfighting then breaks out. Even if your team doesn't win the objective, there's still plenty of opportunity to win points, and that comes down to dogfighting. Shooting down enemy ships nets you a decent amount of points, but assists rack up even more on top of that. This creates a real incentive to keep your team close together, take formations, and coordinate your movements to strategically take down foes, at least if you're playing with 3 other real people. This new multiplayer is by far the highlight of the remake. The team at Valiant Studios understands what makes Star Fox 64 so damn fun. If you jump into the multiplayer with your friends, you'll be screaming at each other just like Fox and his team does in the game, or even the Death Star runs from Star Wars. Chasing down an enemy ship and outmaneuvering them for the kill feels incredible. Covering a teammate as they bring the cargo back to your goal, shooting down the other team as they try and make chase is so rewarding. Hitting a somersault and icing a fool is just such a rush, like, come here, fool! Where are you going? Where are you at? Get back here! Come on! Where are you going? God, it's the most fun I've had with a multiplayer game in years, and it comes from such an unlikely place. It's a good thing this is so fun too, because yes, those are multiplayer achievements, and they definitely are a grind, and they're gonna take up as much time as the main story, if not more. See, Star Fox 2026 organizes its achievements by splitting them up between the HoloViewer, game chat avatars, battle banners, and banner badges. The HoloViewer is where you'll get most of the game's most interesting lore, and yes, there's the hilarious game chat avatars that lets you map your face onto various Star Fox character portraits like you would a VTuber. But these are both unlockables for completing main story and challenge mode. The banner backgrounds and badges feature a mix of challenges across every mode in Star Fox. But this is where the multiplayer achievements really live. 15 of the badges are purely random rewards that get awarded after finishing a match, and 22 of the badges are all multiplayer challenges. As for the backgrounds, there's 2 that are random rewards, 6 with some of the same requirements as the badges. These are your standard achievements like 20 takedowns with a specific item or weapon, use a certain special weapon like the EMP or Plasma Blast 5, 10, 20 times, so on and so forth. Then there's winning 20 matches as Star Fox, as well as winning 20 matches as Star Wolf, winning a total of 50 matches, getting team MVP 20 times, and then finally, the big one, there's several badges for playing up to 100 total matches and even winning 100 matches in multiplayer. The nice thing is that you don't have to do all of this in the matchmaking mode, but honestly, I didn't bother with offline matches at all. After I got all the medals in the story mode, I just dove headfirst into multiplayer without really touching the challenge mode, since I knew both would be a real grind, and honestly, I just had a lot more fun with the multiplayer. Playing online, I just crushed most of the other teams, so I kind of struggled more against bots than human players. If a real person drops mid-match, the game replaces them with a bot that's significantly more difficult. And these mid-game bots are significantly smarter than the ones that fill the party during the matchmaking process. I do want to mention that if you do a matchmaking team with a team of 4, Star Fox will try its best to match you with other teams of real players that are between 3 to 4. And this is how you find out how really good the players are online. Now, when I played with myself, however, it was a complete bloodbath. I won a ton. I'm not braggadocious about my game skills, but when it comes to Star Fox, my friends, I'm pretty damn good. And so began my grind to 100 matches. The achievements for using certain items weren't really an issue because no matter what, you're going to be doing 100 games in matchmaking. So I just had a notepad next to me as I played and did my best to keep my progress in mind. I'd use special weapons like Hyper Boost or Teleport as often as I could, Tactical Rally when things weren't working out so well, and I pretty quickly racked up these achievements after a while. Now you might be wondering why I was writing these things down on a notepad though, and this comes down to one of my biggest problems with Star Fox 2026 and its multiplayer. The best part of this remake is how they clearly tell you the requirements for every challenge and show your progress for basically doing everything. There's an icon for every medal and even exit icons for every stage in the world map with the main story that have a secret path. Every challenge in challenge mode is divided out between normal and expert, and you don't even have to finish a stage if you get the challenges you need. The game lets you just quit to the menu and your challenges are counted no matter what. You'd love to see that? Thank you so much! Now, with all that in mind, despite all the quality of life improvements in the single player, just what's going on with the multiplayer. Now, for some weird reason, there's absolutely no data on any of your stats in multiplayer, on any menu, anywhere. No kill death ratios, no multiplayer rankings, no way to see how many times you've used any items, no way to track how many times you've played a specific map, no way of tracking your wins or your losses, nothing. It's especially frustrating because the game clearly tracks this data behind the curtain, because these achievements have all these requirements. To make matters worse, once you get the achievement, Star Fox 2026 clears the requirement from the relevant badge, background, or whatever it is you just unlocked. This basically means that once you've cleared the achievement, there's no way to see what it is you even did besides looking it up online or cross-referencing it with a fresh save on another account, or writing it down on a notepad. If they put so much thought into showing you your progress on everything that is the single player, why suddenly obscure basically everything about the multiplayer? This might be the most disappointing thing about this remake, because the multiplayer is so damn good. But when so much of it is obscured and de-emphasized, it gives the impression that they don't want it to be too competitive. Just keep it casual. But if that's the case, why track all these achievements anyway? Why create a multiplayer with this much strategy and depth? It's so close to being truly great. There's so much potential with the multiplayer, and seeing how much it resonates with folks online has been super awesome. So why not lean into it and grow this multiplayer as its own thing? Star Fox Dogfighters. You could easily do this. It could be its own Splatoon, its own esport. Who knows? As it stands, there's just no way to track your progress on anything. So get out a pen and paper and start your tally. Honestly, this really isn't that bad though. I actually work a day job nowadays on top of being the completionist, so throughout the week I got into a routine of coming home from work, jumping into matchmaking, and just melting through game after game while my partner would watch Love Island next to me. It's a grind for 100 games in matchmaking, but for me, it just flew by. Eventually, all that was left in my journey to complete Star Fox 2026 was the Gargantuan Challenge mode. That and finding out whether or not Sincere actually was going to do anything with Melanie, because let me tell you, Sincere, you gotta shape up, brother. What are you doing? You're on national TV. You make mistakes. You can't just say, oh, I made mistakes. Everyone's watching you, man. Take it from an expert.
Good luck.
At any point, as long as you've played the stage at least once in the main story, you can tackle any of the 192 challenges, 6 normal challenges, 6 expert challenges. Each one ranges from getting a certain amount of hits to destroying every satellite dish on a stage, killing all of a specific enemy type in the level, and so on and so forth. Expert challenges are much more punishing on the surface, like killing the first boss in 15 seconds, collecting 40 silver rings in the stage, or destroying the boss of Sector Y with only charged shots. And there's the catch with Star Fox 2026. This new Switch 2 title might be the perfect remake in most ways, and I'm so glad that it exists. And hot damn, that multiplayer is fantastic. But the challenges are officially where this remake overstays its welcome in my eyes. It isn't like they're bad challenges. It's standard achievement hunting fare. At no point was I ever throwing my controller or raging out. It never gets Kaizo ROM hack difficult by any means, if that makes sense. On paper, I love just about all the challenges, especially since they've made it so easy to hunt them all down. You choose a level, start with 3 bombs, no upgrades to lasers or health, and there's no checkpoints. The only exception is Venom 1 and Venom 2, where the game does give you a checkpoint just before the boss fight with Andross. So that's nice. Otherwise, I mentioned earlier how you can quit to the menu once you've done the challenges that you need, and that's one of those time savers that's so convenient that you might not even notice at first. On top of that, the game is pretty clear on what each challenge requires, so I wasn't usually left wondering what any achievements meant. No, the real problem is actually just the sheer number of challenges themselves and the way that you'll constantly clear an entire stage before getting stuck on one annoying challenge. This is a bit difficult to explain, so instead of taking you through every bit of my misery, surprise! Here is now a quick tier list video. I'm gonna rank for you all 12 stages by their challenges, ranging from dope to fine to whatever, down to fuck this, cause fuck this. Hey everyone, welcome to the part of the video where I rank all of the Star Fox stages according to their best to worst regarding their challenge modes. The challenge modes for normal and expert are on every stage, and they're all different and weird. So here we go. Trash. 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 Oh, that one, definitely trash. They're all trash. Every single one of them is trash. Trash, 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 trash.
If I'm being honest, actually, some of my favorite challenge stages actually are the ones that you'd expect the least from. Venom 2, while it has some of the hardest challenges in expert mode, is actually really rewarding to conquer. I'd say Venom 1 is not that fun, it's actually kind of a pain in the ass. Hands down, my absolute least favorite challenge is the one on Solar. Sounds simple on paper, but at the end of the day, getting all the bombs, rather getting 6 bombs, is not that fun. Zonus has a lot of challenge, it's definitely one that I like, but in the end, I did not enjoy the last few challenges. I found the first few stages were really hard, like Corneria, Sector Y, and Meteo. Those 3 stages, I think, had some of the most challenging ones overall. I think one of the difficult stages is Sector Z. It is such a bummer just trying to not break your wing, kill all the enemies on screen and the missiles, and even the ones like shooting the missiles within a certain range. Sector Z, hands down, is one of the most difficult in the game. I do want to point out that all of these challenges are so much more easy and fun to do when you do them in co-op. The co-op essentially is the Star Fox Zero co-op, but more boiled down to be succinct with someone in the room with you. At least that's how I feel. Personally speaking, these challenges are rough, they will take a lot of time, but you will have fun.
Now, needless to say, the challenges were absolutely the low point in my journey. This honestly wouldn't have been nearly half as bad if, instead of this being its own game mode, beating the game on either normal or expert to unlock a stage select for each respective difficulty, and each stage's challenges could be done as you played the main game. You could even hide the challenges from being visible until the player beats the game that first time. As it is, by the time I had accomplished every challenge, I was genuinely sick of looking at the highlight system. Star Fox 64 is awesome, but even I found it tough to stomach this much of it in one sitting. The multiplayer achievements weren't incredibly engaging either, but the novelty of the multiplayer was enough to keep me having fun throughout the 100 games of matchmaking and winning. So, after everything's said and done, the ultimate question: do you get anything for getting 100% completion in Star Fox 2026? Now, as a refresher, Star Fox 64 gives you an alternate title screen for getting every expert medal, plus you unlock Landmaster mode for all normal medals, and on foot mode and versus mode for getting the expert medals, on Venom specifically. It's iconic, it's sick, and we love it. Here though, unfortunately, you get some lore, and that's pretty much it. It's one of the few ways that this remake is actually a downgrade from the original. I would have loved to see the traditional versus mode be unlocked, complete with tanks and on-foot options for the full 4-player split screen, but there's nothing like that here. And on that note though, how is that extra lore in the Holo Viewer? Well, as you go, you'll unlock more and more entries in the Holo Viewer. Think of them like the scan logs in Metroid Prime, because they're about as enlightening as Prime's logs are. Like, it's cool to learn more and more about the history of each character, how James McCloud dropped out of the military, sunk his mercenary business into 80 years of debt that Fox inherited, and it's probably part of why Star Fox is so obsessed with getting paid in this game. Or how Andross was sentenced to death for causing an explosion on Corneria, but instead he was banished to Venom because General Pepper pulled rank to keep his involvement with Andross a secret. All this extra context will be unlocked steadily as you go, so you'll be able to read up on this lore in between multiplayer matches, or if you're feeling burnt out on the challenges. Otherwise though, once you've obtained every expert medal in the story mode, you'll gain a pair of James McCloud's aviators on the front desk of the main menu. And finally, with all 192 challenges under your belt, you'll see a gold medal right next to it. And with that, you can customize your battle banner with the only animated badges and backgrounds in the list, which you'll get for those expert medals and challenges. And doing everything else in the game lets you equip about every banner, every badge banner, all that stuff. So, was it worth it?
At the end of the day, I'm left kind of torn on Star Fox 2026. On one hand, I'm extremely glad this game exists. It's Star Fox 64 gameplay, but even tighter. The new multiplayer is so damn good that I am stunned that Nintendo hasn't pushed it as just as big as Splatoon possibly, because honestly I think it really could be. The new gritty story might have less engaging voice acting, but the lore was a nice touch. I even got used to the new hyper-realistic Nintendo Hire This Man models for Star Fox and Friends. The graphics are an incredible highlight, the frame rate is a flawless 60 frames per second, and holy god, that music you know and love is so good. Live orchestral renditions of every classic Star Fox track performed at Abbey Road Studios. It rips all the way through and never fails to hype me up. It's a very safe remake, yes, but god damn it if it isn't still an awesome, enjoyable joyride. However, completing Star Fox 2026 is where this remake gets a little bit messy. Multiplayer achievements are not unexpectedly that bad, but there's still a pretty big grind when you look at the whole grand scope of things that are involved with the game. If you can rope a few friends in, that's absolutely the best way to experience it, and you will have a blast from start to finish. So, with all that in mind, guys, I give this game my completionist rating of completed. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye! Ha-ha! Ba-ba-ba! Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Guys, this Switch 2 chat thing is really weird. It's so weird. I like it, but it's weird. It is weird. It is weird.
Complete it!